Minister of Small Business Development Khumbudzo Ntshavheni reacting to reports that she allegedly misappropriated funds meant for President Cyril Ramaphosa's CR17 campaign for the ANC leadership. She's released a statement in the last couple of hours saying the reports are based on malice and devoid of any truth. Ntshavheni says it's common knowledge that people such as her and other coordinators met with branch members who needed funding for things such as airtime, petrol and food. I'm pleased to tell you the Minister of Small Business Development, Khumbudzo Ntshavheni, on the line for you now. Minister, good evening. Thank you for your time tonight. What is your response to these claims in the Sunday Independent yesterday?
Basically, the Sunday Independent did not even do the basics of journalism of verifying the rumors they've been fed and preferred to go with the rumors. And even when they sent me the questions were so undignified and derogatory to my stature as a woman and as a young woman in particular. Because if they check, they would have known that I've built my house that they say is a mansion way before 2010. The family moved into that house in 2010, and there's not been any improvement in that house except to paint it. I've never bought a car since way before 2016. I've never bought a new car, and my cars were paid off before then. And you to say I've bought cars and done whatever, it shows that they did not even do the basics of their investigation. Then they go ahead and allege that I bought money for somebody with taxes because they were fed a story that there's a taxi business somewhere. And I had already openly declared that I come from a family that owned taxis. My mother owned taxis, and myself owned taxis at a very young age. But I chose not to proceed with the taxi business and to just keep the operating licenses. But because they were told there are taxis somewhere, then they have to throw the taxi to somebody. But if you know, when you buy a taxi, when you have an operating license of a taxi, it's in your name. So if they had gone and searched, they would have known who has the taxis and whether the taxis are on the line or they are operating or not. And they would have found that information. So it was just gutted. But what I found very insulting is the fact that I've run the campaign and I started the CR17 campaign in Limpopo when it was difficult. In 2016 already, I was mobilizing comrades to support the then deputy president to become a candidate. When himself was reluctant to stand, we were engaging with him to pursue him to stand. And in 2017 early, when he has decided he's standing and we had to work with comrades, people were not around, and it was very few people who were willing to support him because they were not supporting him for personal gain. They were not supporting him because they wanted anything in return. They were supporting him because they believed that his leadership will deliver this country from the direction it was taking. And those people that today accused of squandering money and the money not reaching branches, we had a delegate assembly, not one, a number of them, and we interacted with branch delegates and branch chairpersons and secretaries of the branches, and they told us they received the money and to support them for their airtime. Some branches went in twice. They support them for petrol when they had to help people to go to the meeting or take them home after the meeting finished late. And sometimes the meeting took longer and they had to add food so that people don't leave because you needed quorum and presence of comrades in those meetings. But because I'm a woman, I cannot do all that and succeed on my own. I must succeed because there's some men loitering around who I'm sleeping with, and I'll do favors for that man. It is very insulting, and it's happening in the month of August, which is the month that is celebrating women. And for me, now I'm questioning. People say they have been used. They go ahead and write a story that I've used people to become a minister. And they fully know that the CR17 campaign ended in December 2017, except for the mop-up that the campaign managers had to do to clear out the debts of hotels, buses, and all rallies that we had if they were still outstanding debts. But that campaign ended. The process of nominating me to be a parliamentarian took place in 2018, to the end of 2018. And even in that process, there was no CR17 campaign going there. And I was not in a provincial campaign. I was in a national to national, which meant I was nominated from all provinces. And to rub salt into injury is the fact that I've made the top 100 candidates of the ANC, but then I've used people. Which people? Because people are not nominating. There have been political realignment in the ANC since the conference because we all rally behind the president. Those who prefer other things, they do other things. Others who had their own opportunistic reason had their own opportunistic reason. But you then say I got appointed by the mere fact that I was in the CR17 campaign. I've used people. Those people did not nominate me. I was nominated by branches of the ANC.
Minister, if I may, we've given you some time to respond. May I ask, do you not dispute then, so you don't dispute that the sum of 5 million rand was paid into your account by the CR17 account?
I do dispute that. There has been money paid into the account. I don't know how much money was paid. I've not started and done the reconciliation, but those statements that are there are not even accurate. Today, somebody in social media is circulating that I got the business that I was running got 7 million rands for the campaign. The other one said I've got 2 million rands. So I cannot verify that. That's why the president has gone to court to say the statement we cannot verify and authenticate its origin and its use. We don't know whether it was doctored or not. So I cannot comment on the amount. But
Minister, I'm sorry, but if it's your bank account, surely you have access to it and you can do a reconciliation. I mean, it would be important to know if all the money was accounted for properly, surely.
No, it is not my personal bank account. It was a business account.
Okay,
it was not my personal bank account. It was a business account, because that's the other narrative that is being said, that I received money in my personal business account. In my personal account, I never received money in my personal account. I received money. The money went through the business account, because you then had accountants who then pay for all the things that had to be paid for and account for the money.
All right. So, Minister, you won't say how much money it didn't come through your personal account. That's new to me. Just to be clear, and just for the record, because there's been a lot of talk and a lot of speculation, was any of the money used to buy delegates' votes, or was it just used for campaigning?
No, the CR17 money was used for campaigning. The money that we used the money, will give people money for airtime. And why you give people money for airtime, it's either a coordinator or a branch secretary or a branch chairperson or whoever is a comrade helping to call people to meetings. Remember, people now are not invited by a paper, a letter. They're invited by SMSs, by WhatsApp, and you follow up with phone calls. Somebody had to have data and airtime to do that. So that's the money that money was used for. But secondly, our branches of the ANC, they are ward-based branches, and our wards are very vast. You may find that in one ward, you may find that there are 3 or 4 villages in the event, in the case of Limpopo. And people then had to be moved from one village to the venue of the meeting and all the other villages to the venue of the meeting. And somebody had to pay petrol for that movement. And given that the meetings, though there was time allocated for quorum, which was between 3 and 4 hours for quorum to take place, sometimes quorum did not take place. But because we knew that there was a challenge of quorum, sometimes we asked branch secretaries to get the comrades early into the meeting venues, so that by the time the meeting has to start, there's already quorum. So if a meeting was starting at 2 and people leave their homes at 10 in the morning, so that we can have quorum by 2 o'clock, because the deployee may leave at 5 if there's no quorum, you needed to make sure that they have food to eat. People have diabetes and other health issues, but you cannot starve people because you want them to nominate a delegate or nominate your candidate to contest. So there would have been food in those areas and those instances. There was no money used to buy delegates. We heard that other people bought delegates to vote for them. We never paid money to a delegate to vote our way. That is the reason I did not make it to the NEC. I was a candidate. If I was a candidate and we could buy delegates, why couldn't I buy delegates for myself and those other coordinators who were also candidates on the list?
Minister, thank you very much indeed for your time tonight, ma'am. The Minister of Small Business Development, Khumbudzo Ntshavheni.